This is TWiT.
There's a trend in the top stories of the week, which is that big tech in general is getting its spanking this week. Google now has lost 2 trials. The judge in the search trial is now Judge Mehta, not related to Facebook. Mehta is now hearing. This is an amicus brief from Y Combinator. Is now hearing appeal briefs and testimony as he makes his determination. I think he has to the 25th to decide what the remedies should be. The government is saying not break up Google, but make them do one or all of 3 things: sell Chrome, give or license out its search data, to which Sundar Pichai said, nah, you can't do that. That would be like telling Coca-Cola to give Pepsi their secret recipe. It'd put us out of business. Or stop paying $20 billion to Apple and hundreds of millions of dollars to Firefox and Samsung and others to guarantee their placement in the browser. The judge may say all 3. He may say one of 3. The Y Combinator, which is of course a startup incubator, says you got to do it, man, because we are already seeing Google is putting a kibosh on our business. Monopoly power, they wrote, gives a monopolist myriad ways to exclude competition. The remedy order will need to anticipate and prevent any retaliation against startups that intend to compete on its merits. They're saying, hey, we represent startups, and Google's bad for startups.
Could I just one clarifying question on the Chrome sale? Is there also like a ban from them ever making another browser? I think it was
for 5 or 6 years. Yeah,
sort of 5 or 6 years. Okay, but
which is isn't long, really. I mean, they would come back with a browser as soon as they could. There's also the issue of Chrome is an open source project called Chromium, admittedly mostly financed and staffed by Google, but how do you sell an open source project?
But would that also include Chrome OS? Because it's based off Chrome.
I guess it would. I don't know. There's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Judge Mehta is capable of making a decision on that one. Plus, if you tell Google, stop paying Apple and Mozilla and Samsung, that might have the wrong impact. It certainly would put Mozilla says put us out of business. Be the end of Firefox, which is, it's one of the only competing browser technologies. So that would be kind of a negative thing.
I mean, if I were Firefox, I would go to Perplexity and say you're going to buy, instead of buying Chrome.
The head of Mozilla said it put us out of business as well, Your Honor.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead, Stacey.
No, I was just going to say, well, you can't make a drastic change in the ecosystem like this without it having, what is it? You got to crush a few bad apples. I don't know. I'm just
you got to break some eggs to make an omelet.
Yes, and I'm devastated about Firefox. We love who doesn't love Mozilla?
I use it. I love it. We want it.
But I'm frustrated because they've talked about going after the ad monopoly, which to me is way more of an issue than search engine monopoly, but whatever. But
the monopoly in Chrome, paying people forcing them to, or paying them to use Chrome, all helps the ad monopoly too, right?
Oh, yes, it does.
It gives them information about you, us, me, and that's what helps them. But
who's using search engines today anyway? Are we still using search engines?
Isn't it? That's the funny thing about the whole thing is this is right when AI seems to be taking over anyway.
I mean, it's the default. So go, Shoshana. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. You go ahead. You were starting.
Oh, I was just saying it's the default thing that I use before I go to AI. At the moment, is for any random thing.
What do you use?
Just Google search.
Interesting.
I don't use AI search because it is a separate thing, and it is the memory is stickier, and so I'm always concerned. You could clear your cookies and log out of services, but when
that's a good
AI,
point.
it stores that as part of your profile, and it doesn't forget.
When it comes to privacy, AI, you're saying is worse.
Yes, exactly.
So when you're looking for ways to dispose of a dead body,
where are you going to go?
Not
Eddie
Perplexity or ChatGPT.
Eddie Q threw a monkey wrench into the search antitrust case when he testified, to the shock of everybody and the dismay of everybody, that Google searches. Eddie Q, by the way, is the senior vice president of services at Apple. Now, people pointed out that Eddie might have a dog in this hunt, right? Because Apple as it stands to perhaps lose $20 billion a year in its services bottom line. So, which is where it sticks it. So maybe Eddie Q had an ulterior motive, but he testified that Google's searches declined in Safari for the very first time last quarter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about too. That like, I'm skeptical of a lot of the way that that American courts go after companies with antitrust, but even to the degree they do, the remedies I feel like sometimes just don't make sense. It's like when you want to break up stuff, it's like, okay, we'll break them up into what? Like what really can be done here to make it better? And then search is declining. Like I agree with Wesley that like I'm a little skeptical because like ChatGPT seems to remember a lot about me, and that freaks me out a little bit. But more and more people are just using generally ChatGPT, other tools too, instead of search. So right as search is getting some really, really big competition, courts are like, oh, now let's do this now, like as this is happening, which is kind of, it feels kind of silly to me. Like this might not be the right timing for it. Plus there's like, you know, the way courts have gone after Meta for having Instagram, even though when they acquired it, it wasn't a sure bet. I just think that a lot of this doesn't always make a ton of sense. But I think with timing, it's just a slow process, and it's always going to end up being a little bit behind that way. But it can have some weird consequences like now.
Just to underscore what you just said, Wesley.
Microsoft?
ChatGPT turned on a feature where it would remember everything you've ever said to it. So I just asked it, what do you know about me? Well, you're Leo Laporte. You're a podcaster with radio broadcasting background. You produce and monetize tech-focused podcasts. Know about podcast strategy, host red ads, direct sponsorships. You're currently selling your house, preferring for a move. You use Debian. Follow Formula One in the Super Bowl. You have a daughter named Abby who's interested in ethical AI development. You're accelerationist in your views on AI, optimistic about its potential. Believe human-created content will gain value as AI-generated content proliferates. You do not drink alcohol, but are interested in whiskey as a gift for others. You enjoy historical topics, creative image generation, and technical deep dives into subject like Common Lisp. How does it know all this about me? These are all searches I've done. So to underscore your point, Wesley, it knows a lot about me.
You did not hit that last sentence where they were like, you maintain a high cognitive bar for interaction. I'm like, dude.
And prefer blunt directive responses. Yeah. What? I don't know about that. Is that true?
Yes. I've had it like used it for responding to emails, and it will throw in something like that, and I was like, oh, don't say that. I don't want
and I'm in a busy period of life.
Yeah.
There's some. So first of all, there's some surprising facts in here that it knows, which would certainly be of interest to advertisers. For instance, that I'm shopping for whiskey, but there's also some. It's also generating some judgments like, I prefer blunt, direct responses. Where did it get that? I don't think I know. I told it that. I said, stop being so namby-pamby. Give me blunt, direct responses. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's different.
It was funny. I recently asked it what it knew about me, not just like facts, but what it could think from like what all the stuff it knows about me. And one of my favorite things was that it like was very aware I live a very idiosyncratic life. They're like, with all your dietary restrictions and all your hobbies, like they're a unique combo. So I bet you go about your life very differently than most people. And I was like, man, that's right.
That's right on. Right. Yeah. And something an advertiser would probably want to know too, right? So this is exact, just to your point, that this is very hard for a judge at this point to make a determination that is going to be effective in curbing Google's monopolistic behavior and not have, all sorts of spray and problems. And Google might be now, when Eddie Q, by the way, said that Google searches were down on Apple. Google stock went down 7.5% in that day. It was like freaked people out. The company released a one-paragraph statement saying, hey, wait a minute. We continue to see overall query growth in search. This includes an increase in total queries coming from Apple's devices and platforms. I feel like they're fudging statistics somehow, but I'm not sure where. It's, in other words, they're saying, hey, more generally, as we enhance search with new features, AI, people are seeing that Google search is more useful for more of their queries, and they're accessing it for new things in new ways. We're excited to continue this innovation.
Choice.
Yeah. Yeah, we make them. We pay them to do that.
Let me put forth a remedy that I wish that they would do.
Yes.
They should put whatever metric they want, share of advertising, market share, whatever. Just put a number and just say, Google, we're capping you at 80%. And you have to do whatever you can to get to 80% within 2-3 years.
Like decrease your market share.
Yeah. And if they don't do it, then they'll force a remedy.
How would you? So what would Google do? Take out ads saying, don't use our browser?
They can invest in other companies. They can invest more in like Mozilla. And,
you know what? That's a great idea.
As opposed to they could try to make the environment better for other people so that it makes it an even playing ground, and then they could choose exactly how that they, from a financial standpoint, can play their fork. And then that way, if they're told what they need to do, they won't do the extras that they need to do. It's like putting it in other properties or giving it, like whenever I open up Edge, for instance, it says, hey, do you want to switch to Chrome? Like stuff like that, they would stop doing, and they can audit what they're doing to juice the shares and then figure out what they can change to make it get down and prop up others. Just they would be less anti-competitive, and that would change their actions, and you would have a strict metric that everyone can monitor to make sure it works.
You should write a note to Judge Meta.
There's the, and I'm going to screw it, it's the Herfindahl-Hirschman Index. And that is used by the FTC to measure, or sorry, not the FTC, the DOJ's Antitrust. That's a measure of market concentration. Now, what happens is you fight to figure out how you want to measure your market. Like, it's like whatever data, whatever KPIs you're going to pick. So, do you want search engine? Do you want it per user? Do you want it per different browsers? Or not browsers, sorry, different operating systems? And we could, that's a total thing that you can do it. There's many, many really boring research papers about this. And I only know about it because I covered antitrust for the phone companies and broadband.
There you go.
But yes, you're spot on, Wes. That's exactly what people should be doing.
Actually, there's a good example of this. Untoward Media in our YouTube chat saying, I'm reminded of the time Microsoft put $100 million into Apple and saved it when Microsoft was being prosecuted for antitrust behavior.
Intel did the same thing with AMD. That's why Intel was like, hey,
interesting.
Here, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Not out of any altruistic reason, probably, but just
no, they wanted it was
we
very
don't want to be a monopoly. We just so you're saying 80%, that'd be okay, Wesley? 80%.
I don't know. Just pick whatever number that
not 100
reasonable.
Yeah.
Or when choose the metric, and then now everyone knows that, and you can actually verify this externally too. So it's not just a big secret, like, oh, they divested from Chrome, but then they bought Mozilla, or they invested so much more that they're able to still use that to funnel whatever. It keeps them from doing untoward, underhanded things, and it actually changes their behavior.
Hey, thank you for watching this little snippet from our big show, the News Roundtable, This Week in Tech. I'm Leo Laporte. Each week we cover the week's tech news, in-depth analysis, but it's also fun and engaging. You'll find it at twit.tv along with all of our shows. And if you want more, just hit the subscribe button, and we'll be sure to bring you a lot more great content. Thanks for listening.